recording this before I lie to you. So I am recording this meeting. I will share out the recording. I'll email it out to parents tomorrow morning. So if you miss anything, don't worry. I also will send out the presentation. So don't feel like you have to take a bunch of notes and write everything down because I will share it out with you. So don't worry about that. During the meeting, we ask that you please keep yourself muted because it can be really distracting with background noise for the people that are listening. And then go ahead, as we're presenting, go ahead and put your questions in the chat and we will address them at the end of the time. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So what we're gonna go over tonight is actually, what we've done is we've combined two presentations. Some of you may have joined us a couple of weeks ago if you have kids that are already going to Piedmont Hills and you knew that we gave a presentation a couple of weeks ago to our existing parents about, you know, how is this school year going to look. So we took some slides from that presentation and combined it with our typical incoming parent presentation. In normal non-COVID times, tonight is the night that we would have invited all of you to come to the L building. We always do a presentation to incoming freshman parents the Wednesday before school starts. And so some of this is our typical presentation and what we share with you, okay? So some of the things that we're going to go over tonight, we'll do some welcome and introductions. We're going to talk about distance learning, the schedule, the expectations, give some tips for success. I'm going to give you some introduction to Piedmont Hills for those of you that aren't familiar with our school at all. We're going to talk about some academics, you know, what kids need in order to graduate from high school and also what courses they need to get into college. We're going to go over some safety and discipline things. We'll talk about some ways that you as parents can get involved. And then at the end, we're going to go over your questions. Okay. So first off, and maybe I should have started this, I'm Jenny Davis and I am the principal at Piedmont Hills. We have some guests, not guests, but I have my co-administrators with me tonight, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So first off is Nancy Pereira.
Hi, good evening. I'm the associate principal of your schedules this week is what I am, but I also oversee testing and AP and all the fun nitty gritty stuff at school. So welcome. Hopefully we'll meet in person one day.
Great, thank you, Nancy. And then Andrew Campbell.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm the Associate Principal of Administrative Services. Normally that's like kind of the discipline one, but I think for this semester we're gonna be the attendance guy. So we got a lot of things to get through and thank you for being here.
Great, and then I don't know, has Rupert come on yet?
Yeah, he's here.
Oh, great. Rupert, can you introduce yourself?
Rupert Rosales, I'm the Parent and Community Involvement Specialist. Sorry, I was a little bit late. I was trying to connect. Good evening.
Great, thank you. So Rupert is kind of our go-to person for parents when you just don't know who to go to. Rupert's your guy. So on our website, you can actually find links to all of our email addresses and direct phone numbers. So if you haven't been on our website, please start getting familiar with it because we post a lot of information on there. So I wanted to start tonight just, you know, about Piedmont Hills and talk about our vision and mission. Piedmont Hills, we are, our vision is to be a community-based learning center where an atmosphere of success, innovation, and self-empowerment will exist for all students. And then our mission is to create a school community that provides all students with a strong educational foundation that prepares them to thrive in a global society while also developing the skills needed to achieve their potential. And I think, you know, one of the things that we really, you know, as parents are very concerned about right now with distance learning and the way the school year is shaping up, like our kids are going to be behind. And I think in a lot of ways, you know, when we kind of take a step back and we look, you know, I mean, like we are absolutely preparing them right now to thrive in society and thrive in a different world. You know, that's all of us are living that right now, but especially our students. So our school-wide learner outcomes, the Pirate Way, we are very big on the Pirate Way at Piedmont Hills. We talk about it all of the time. So the Pirate Way is problem solver, independent thinker, responsible individual, adaptable learner, technologically literate, effective communicator. These are the skills that we think our students need, and it is our goal to make sure that they exemplify all of these skills by the time they graduate from Piedmont Hills. We have a lot of recognition programs where we recognize students that exemplify these 6 areas, and this is something that we talk to the students a lot about. I will mention it constantly. So if this is your first experience with Piedmont Hills, then just know you're going to hear about the Pirate Way a lot. Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty and like what you guys really care about. What is this school year going to look like this year? So this is our distance learning bell schedule. So what this is essentially it's a block schedule where the classes meet 2 days a week. Odd periods meet on Mondays and Thursdays, and then even periods meet on Tuesdays and Fridays. All of the classes are an hour and a half long. They start at 8:30 in the morning, and then we go until about 4 in the afternoon. I don't know how much you guys are aware of California passed a law earlier this past school year that said in this, not this coming school year, next school year, high schools needed to start at 8:30. And the district made the decision, because we were changing our bell schedule anyway to accommodate for distance learning, that we might as well go ahead and start at 8:30 to get our kids used to it. So you see that there are breaks. There's either lunch or a break in between all of the periods. It's a little bit longer than our normal passing periods, you know, for kids to get up, stand up, stretch, and get away from the computer. On Wednesdays, there are no classes for students on Wednesdays. Wednesday morning is our collaboration time for teachers. That's when we're going to do our work as a school. We have a lot of training that we're doing with the teachers to help them make distance learning the best possible experience for both for the students and for the teachers, but, you know, to create the best possible learning environment. In the afternoon on Wednesdays, there is tutorial time. It's this tutorial/advisory, and that happens on Tuesday and Friday afternoons, and then on the Wednesday afternoons. This is time for students to get additional extra help. If they need extra help from their teacher, a teacher may do small group instruction. If they have a group of students that they feel like they need extra time or need extra instruction, they could bring a small group together to do this. It could be like if a student is absent, this is time for them to make up work. We are really going to be stressing to the students that on those Wednesdays, they should use Wednesdays because there are no classes. You know, and again, it's time to get extra help, but that's really a time for them to catch up and make sure that they're keeping on top of all of their assignments and that they're not falling behind at all. So distance learning expectations and what you can expect as a parent. So there will be in person, I put that in quotes because obviously it's not in person, but it is through a video like Zoom. In-person learning every class period. So this is either be through Zoom or sometimes Google Meet. Most of our teachers use Zoom, though we do have a couple of teachers that use Google Meet. You can also expect that there will be additional work outside of class. So, you know, they will have homework, they will have assignments that they're supposed to complete on their own time. As much as possible, we're going to try to keep this to a regular school year, you know, as much as we can. Like I mentioned a little while ago, the tutorial time is time built into the schedule for students to get extra help. And the students should use those Wednesdays to catch up. We have additional support on campus. We do have a social worker on campus. So if a student is having, you know, mental health issues, you know, they're depressed, they're feeling anxious, they can still see our social worker. She actually will be able to do one-on-one in-person meetings if the student wants to actually come on campus to do that, or she can do Zoom meetings with students. The counselors, you know, we have 5 academic counselors. They still will be available to meet with students, probably mostly through Zoom, but yes, absolutely. The counselors are still available. And then we have our advisors who normally work with student discipline, but they are really going to be this year, because we're not anticipating a lot of discipline issues because we don't have students on campus, that they're going to be doing a lot of outreach and making sure that the students are attending and that they're participating in their classes. So technology tools, Chromebooks are available. If your students are in the first half of the alphabet, hopefully they came on campus today to get their school picture taken, and they went to the book room to get a Chromebook. We are not forcing students to take a Chromebook. If you have a laptop available for them at home, you don't need to do it. Our recommendation, though, for the devices at home is you have one device per child. So if you have 3 kids, you have one device for each kid, so they're not having to share. Because if you have 2 kids at Piedmont Hills, they have class at the same time, so they can't be on the same device. And we also recommend that they aren't trying to Zoom on their phone or on an iPad or anything like that. It's really better, and they have a better classroom experience, and they can engage in the learning better if they actually are on a laptop. So we are providing Chromebooks. If you didn't pick one up today, that's okay. We will have additional time. I'm going to put it in my email on that I send out on Sunday, but we'll have the book room open on Monday from 12 to 4. So if you didn't get a chance, or your child didn't get a Chromebook, you have a second chance. We do have some hotspots available if you don't have reliable internet at home, and you're worried about your internet connection not being the greatest. We do have some hotspots available. You should email Mr. Campbell, who you just met, to arrange to get the hotspot. That is his email address. We need all of the students.
Excuse me.
We need all of the students to sign up for EC Arms. If you guys
Can I
have
ask a question?
Make sure you put your question in the chat, okay? We need all the students to sign up for EC Arms. How they do this is they go to this email address. I actually, I sent out the instructions for this the other day. I don't know if you guys have received the mailer from the district, but the mailer is going to include an instruction sheet in there on how to do this. So what they need to sign up is they need their district email address, which is their last name, first name, and then on that instruction sheet, it's a little bit confusing because it says 1, 2, 3, 4, and that it doesn't really explain what that means. It's the 4 numbers in their email address are the last 4 numbers of their student ID. So it's last name, first name, the last 4 numbers of their student ID at students.esuhsd.org. There's a generic password. It's Eastside with the little like swirly A thing. I can't remember what that's called, for the A. And then they can reset their password. Why they should do, they should use EC Arms to log on to Infinite Campus. They can log on to Zoom. They can log on to School Loop. Anything that they're gonna need, they should do it through EC Arms. So what Infinite Campus is our student like information system that we use as a school. It's how we keep track of attendance. It's where the students can see our schedule. For our purposes, it's where we built their schedule. It's where all their contact information for parents are. Infinite Campus is usually like for the school is more important. It's less important for all of you guys, though you can see their schedule on it right now. And then when report cards come out, if you didn't want to wait for the report card to come in the mail, because that sometimes can take a while, you can actually see their report cards on Infinite Campus. For you guys, School Loop is actually probably the most important thing. Hopefully all of you parents have registered for School Loop. If you have not, please go ahead and do that. Register for School Loop. If you register for School Loop, that's how you get all of my emails. I send an email out to parents every Sunday night. And if you're registered for School Loop, you're going to get that email. You will also see your kids' classes, the teacher's grade book, so you can see how they're doing and what their grades are. It's also an easy way to email teachers and staff. And again, most of the email communication that we do as a school, we'll do it through School Loop. And so if you're registered for School Loop, you're going to get all of those emails. The teachers are reaching out to their classes right now. The students also, by the way, the students need to register for School Loop too. So if your child has not registered for School Loop yet, have them do that tonight. Because what's going to happen is the teachers have already started, but they're going to keep doing it, especially like for the freshman teachers. They will share out their Zoom links and Google Classroom links and everything that the students need to know for the first day of school. They have already started doing that this week. But if they don't do it this week, they're definitely going to do it on Monday of next week, because school starts on Tuesday. So some tips that we have for student success with distance learning: follow that bell schedule, get up on time for those classes. We really suggest that students have a set wake and sleep schedule. If your kids still are not, they're on like summer sleep mode, which means they're up all night and they're sleeping all day. Today's Wednesday, school starts next Tuesday. I really suggest getting them on a regular like school time sleep schedule starting now, because otherwise they're gonna have a rude shock come Tuesday. It's 8:30 is going to come awfully early for them. I know for my kids that's true. They are sleeping all day, but my kids start school a week later than we do at Piedmont Hills, so I've got a little bit of extra time. We also recommend a work area at home for each student. It doesn't necessarily have to be, it depends on what sort of situation obviously you have in your house, but if each child has their own like school work area that's theirs, and I guess we're all like having to shift our houses around and like accommodate this right now and putting desks in weird places. But I think that's just what we have to do, because it's really helpful for the student, because like it puts them in that school frame of mind that like that's where they're sitting to do school. We also suggest, the kids, they actually get dressed for school. They don't just like hang out in their pajamas, but like they would get dressed to go to school on the first day of school, and like rarely they should get dressed to do school, even though it's at home. It puts them in that frame of mind of like, now this is school time. I mentioned the tutorial time. I cannot emphasize that enough, that's time built in the schedule for them to get extra help, and using those Wednesdays to catch up. So hopefully, we don't have a situation where students, like it's a couple months into school and they've fallen way behind, because they have that day in the week in order to catch up with all of their lessons. Also, students really need to ask questions in class. If they don't understand something, they should ask questions. They need to participate. And we really, really cannot recommend highly enough that the students turn on the video feature in Zoom. It's, really important for that classroom engagement, so that, the teacher can see the student and know that they're engaged. Some students, they don't necessarily want people to see their house, which we totally get, but they can use a virtual background. And just, if they don't know how to do that, don't worry. On the first day of school, on the 11th, actually what we're doing that day is we have a series of school-wide lessons. And one of the things that the teachers are going to teach the students that day is they're going to teach them how to set up their virtual background. So if a student doesn't know how to do that just yet, don't worry, we're going to teach them how to do it. So this is just so you guys know who we have as far as staff at Piedmont Hills. There's me, I'm the principal. We have 2 associate principals who you just met. We have 95 teachers. We have 2 advisors, 5 academic counselors, 1 school psychologist, 2 speech therapists. Well, it's really, I would say like 1.5 speech therapists, because we share one with another school. 1 librarian that, again, we share between 2 schools, a social worker, and then we have our 2 athletic directors. As far as our classified staff, in our office, we have a principal secretary, an attendance secretary. We normally have an attendance clerk, but she retired, and so we have not yet filled that position. We have a registrar for enrollment purposes, a counseling technician, a health technician that we share with another school. That person also resigned over the summer, and so that's vacant. We have 7 custodial staff and 1 guard. Well, that makes up 3 day custodians, 3 night custodians, and a gardener. We have a campus monitor. We have a support technician that works in the book room. This is also vacant. I'm telling you guys this is vacant because if you know anybody that is looking for employment, we're hiring. We have a finance clerk that runs the school bank. We have our parent and community involvement specialist, who is Rupert Rosales, who you met earlier. And then we also have our para educators. So these are the clubs that we offer on campus. I don't know if this is a complete list. I think we probably actually have more clubs than this. Clubs, even though we're doing distance learning, like I said before, we're going to try to make this school year as close to a normal school year as possible. Obviously, we're not having rallies and dances and things like that, but clubs will still meet during lunch and still have Zoom meetings and still do things virtually. Our ASB is still going to do school spirit weeks and things like that. It's just going to be done virtually, but that is an important part of the school experience, especially for your kids that are coming in. This is their first time in high school and they're new to that. We really are going to make an effort to make them still have a normal school experience as much as possible. So I wanted to briefly talk about athletics, and I kept this slide in just so you guys can see normally what sports happen when. Normally, in a normal year, we have a fall season with cross country, football, tennis, girls volleyball, and girls golf. I'm looking at what's bolded. This is from last year. Those are bolded because last year that was a new sport for us. In the winter, we had basketball, both boys and girls, soccer, both boys and girls, and then wrestling. And in the spring, we had badminton, baseball, boys golf, softball, swimming, and diving. Boys tennis, track and field, and then boys volleyball. Our boys volleyball team started last year. They only got to play a couple of games before everything shut down, but we do have that. Now, like I said, this is a normal year where there's 3 seasons of sports. This year, there are only going to be 2 seasons of sports. So if your child is an athlete, there's going to be a winter season and a spring season. Let me preface this by saying this is as of today. Everything, and I'm sure you guys know, everything's changing. And if we get close to the winter season and it's still deemed not safe, then they will make changes. Any changes that come, we will of course let everybody know. But as of right now, the plan is for the winter season to start around mid-December and go into March. And that will be cross country, football, both girls and boys volleyball, and then competitive cheer. The spring season has a lot of sports in it, and it's going to go from mid-March into June, especially if some of these teams make playoffs. Some of those, playoff and scheduled, that's all in June, which is actually after we get out of school. So just keep that in mind, that if you have a child that is going to do a spring sport, and you're planning on a June vacation, just keep in mind that they may not be done with their season yet. So that's badminton, soccer, tennis, both girls and boys, swimming and diving, wrestling, basketball, baseball, golf, both girls and boys, softball, and then track and field. All right, Ms. Pereira, this is you.
Okay, let me have a lot of windows open. Good evening, I'm Ms. Pereira. So I'm going to just kind of go over just the academic side of our goals as a school and as a district. So this first slide you're looking at is our graduate profile, and this is our district graduate profile. So you can see there are 6 main ideas or areas that we focus on as a district and school communicators. So we want to make sure that our students have the ability to present in a variety of ways. I'm sure as parents of teenagers, you're already seeing some of that, but this is more on the academic side as well too. Critical thinkers, so problem solvers, this is just kind of just learning how they could advocate for themselves and how to process through changes and analyze, and in an academic setting as well. Collaborators to work effectively with others to build knowledge and create solutions and products. Creators formulate new ideas, individual responses, and develop plans of actions which face with a task or a problem. So again, just kind of getting those different, different parts of their personality to show and demonstrate learning in different areas. Community members identify issues, seek out information, and gather perspectives to respond to challenges affecting our community. And powered with the plan. The idea is that when every student leaves or graduates from Eastside Union High School District, that they actually have a plan. That's something that, what are the next steps? How are they going to be ready for the next stage in their life? Do I get to move this? Oh, I do have access. Okay, good. Sorry, guys. I haven't been a co-host with the PowerPoint yet, so steep learning curve here. So here you'll see our high school graduation requirements. So they're broken down by subject on the left in the dark blue or the darker blue. You have English. Every student must take 4 years of English. Each class is worth 10 credits. So by the end of their senior year, they would have earned 40 credits in English. That's what is required. Social science, students are required to earn 30 credits. So that really starts in their sophomore year with world history, US history in their junior year, in government and econ in their senior year. So those are the 30 credits. Math students are required to take and pass two years. I was about to say 2 semesters. That is not true. It would be 2 years, so 20 credits. And in science, students must take also 20 credits, 1 in the physical science. So that would include like your chemistry and your physics, or I should say chemistry or physics, and one area of biological science. So within those 2 areas, they would earn 20 credits. Fine arts, students are required to take 1 year of a fine art or 1 year of a world language. So 10 credits only there. Students must take 2 years of PE. The first year of PE is, the first year must be taken in their freshman year. And then sophomore year students take PE as well. So that's how they get their 20 credits. And their electives are 80 credits. So an elective is, it's a vocabulary lesson for kids, for our students. They think of elective as all the like fun classes, and which it can be, but it also just really means anything beyond those requirements that you see in those purple boxes. So if you were to take a third year of math, that goes into the elective category. So here you could just see that in a different way. It's a little bit cleaner to see that. So at the end of their senior year, they need 220 credits to graduate. And again, it's just broken down a little bit cleaner for you. So this is important information because it has the A to G requirements for the colleges. So what this shows you is how, well, this just shows a little bit of a different story, and then I'll combine the two so you can see them in a moment. But for social science, students need 20 credits to be A to G eligible. For English, it is still the 40. For math, it is 30. You need 30 credits, but the 4th year is highly recommended. That's why there's an asterisk on there. Lab science, the same thing. 20 credits are required, 30 credits. Wow, 30 years, that would be awful. Foreign language would be also 20 credits, so 2 years. And that 3rd year would be the required, suggested. Wow, I'm all over the place. Visual performing arts, they will only need 1 year. And then for electives, it's a total of 10. So as you can see, that slide's a little bit less than, it's a lot, the requirements for A to G are less than what they are for a high school graduation diploma. So if you go to the next slide there, you could see them just side by side where the differences are. So for example, for social studies, again, Eastside has difference there. For English, 40 and 40, it's the same. Math, it shows you again the 20 credits for Eastside. For college requirements, it's 30 and 40 recommended. So lab sciences, 20 credits for Eastside, 20 for A to G. So a difference of 10 there because they're still recommending that third year. In world language, same thing. So only 10, and actually you technically can graduate without having that second language as long as you took the art class through Eastside. But again, for the university, they are requiring at least 2 years and preferably that third year recommended. And the electives, 80 credits for Eastside. The colleges are only suggesting or requiring 10. So, and then PE 20 credits, colleges don't ask, they're not even asking about PE. That's a state requirement for health and fitness, obviously. So there you can see just side by side the differences. So yes, we have different requirements than the A to G requirements for college acceptance. But so at the end of the day, your students should be prepared and ready to make their choices to move on to a 4-year or 2-year or whatever their case may be at the end of their high school experience with us. I think I need to, oh, sorry. This is good. I'll work in that stuff here that I did a minute ago. So what our counselors do is they do work with students all 4 years to develop a 4-year course plan. So they start really early with the 9th graders. And so on the side there, you could see under 9th grade in the orange box, the different categories of that A to G that I just explained. And and then the students will develop a 4-year plan with their counselor. And they do some surveys also. What can you do to become college ready? So every year they have these tutorials or activities or whatever you want to call it that just helps them get into that frame of what they should be doing in the 9th grade and the 10th grade. So every year it's a little bit different, but again, it's familiarizing them with those A to G requirements, and they get to do like personality surveys and interest tests and matching with colleges that match their interests. There's like a whole bunch of different activities that are part of what the counselors do with the students. So that's super exciting. Actually, it's a lot of fun. And the counselors, we're working on our welcome videos, and they kept saying in their welcome videos, each of them, because they didn't do this together, they kept stressing how important it is for them to participate in these activities. So I think their feelings are a little hurt that sometimes people are not participating. But anyway, so the 4-year course planner for the what that happens with the college and career placement with at Piedmont with our students. Just kind of something in that vein that I wanted to touch on, that it was actually on one of the other slides, but just kind of recommendations for how to support your students during high school, and also obviously with distance learning. And one of the key things is just, you know, make sure your student is communicating with their teacher, reaching out for help, obviously. When the counselors are sending the notices home, and I'm in the season right now where I'm seeing these things, when students are selecting their classes, they are, you know, expected that they're sharing this with their parents or guardian, and many times they might not be, I don't know. And we do send out the requests. This year we sent them out through email. So my assumption is that everybody received them, since I didn't hear they didn't. But anyway, so it's just something that you could kind of keep your eye on with your student, your child, to just make sure that they're, you know, they're doing their part with the scheduling piece and the 4-year plan. And also just, you know, when you're checking grades, and if you're noticing a problem, obviously you want to check with your child first, but, you know, reach out to the teacher. Those are all, you know, valuable ways to just kind of stay ahead of the game to support them through high school. Okay, that's it for me right now. I guess I don't really, maybe I saw some questions about scheduling, so I'll just go there really fast. Some people have been contacting me about schedules. I'm working through them. Just kind of understand that schedules, this is like a really big process. So schedules are really built on students' requests and not on changes. So right now, some people are they've changed their mind. They're teenagers. It's the nature of the beast. But unfortunately, with the school setting, there's no way for me to predict. I can't build a schedule based on kids changing their mind. It's based on what was requested. And they have it's like a 5-month process of constantly viewing that with students. So they start early in the fall with that 4-year plan, that planner. And then in January, they work with their counselors. They do have one-on-one meetings with the counselors, and then we show them their requests, and if there's any errors, then they get a chance to fix them. So doing that in the summer becomes very difficult because, again, the schedule has been built based on what they told me in March, and even through May, they were still kind of making changes. not necessarily the freshmen, these poor guys, they weren't here with us, so they don't even, they just trusted when they filled out their form that things would go as planned. So, and it usually does. But so that was just my little announcement. And one more thing, School Loop, I think, is having 24-hour turnaround period. Sorry, guys. I just saw the question, so maybe this will help. So if students had like some type of error or a change in their math class or something, it looks like School Loop is showing it with a gap in their schedule. So hopefully so on my end, I could see what the changes that I've made, but on the other end, you guys are not able to see that. It might look like a hole in their schedule. So just, and if that still is the problem 24 hours from now, then just let me know, because then I have to come up with another way to communicate the schedule to the students. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Campbell, you're up.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Like I said, my role is going to largely be based around attendance this semester. So let's talk about a few things. Before we get into anything else, I always try to start my section with reminding everybody that we are doing a regular school year. We just aren't going to be in the classroom. We're going to be scattered around and in our own homes. So everything that you know about a regular school year is still going to be in place. We're still going to take attendance. We still want you to call in if something's happening and your students can't make it to class. We're still going to have homework and tests and projects. We're still expecting students to come to school on time. All of that is still in place. So our standard attendance is right here. Those the attendance lines that you'll use to make calls about excused absences. If you have a doctor's appointment, anything, a kid is sick and just can't get onto the computer, whatever it is that you have, please call ahead, ideally before the class. Our tardy policy is here. We're not going to be dealing with tardies. That's for when we're back on campus. I don't know when that's going to happen. We're going to work with that. And I know that's a question that was on here, and we'll discuss that a little bit later. But make sure that when we do get back on campus, because you're going to be with us for 4 years, to talk to your kids about making sure they get to class in a timely manner. And they have a 5-minute passing period. They should have plenty of time to get between classes. At least if we go back to our 6-period day. For now, again, attendance is going to be taken every day, every pass period. Really advise your students to follow our schedule. Our schedule is up here again. Parents, it's up for you to call in for absences. Use those lines that we have to call those in. And we can go from there. Beyond the attendance part, it's best practices. Register yourselves at School Loop. There's a ton of questions over here. Yes, I understand that it's brand new for most of us, so just keep working on it. The district, I think, put out information on how to register on School Loop. I think there's information on our school website on how to register for School Loop. Definitely encourage our parents to register there. You can see every assignment that every teacher has for your students, the grade that they get for each of those, the turn-in dates that they have for each of those. You get to email directly to our staff, and they can directly email you back. Your kids should register on School Loop, but you should too. Okay, definitely don't let that communication just happen with your students. You guys should be talking to those teachers as well. Encourage your students to log into eCarms before they go into Zoom. That gives your student actually more options on how to use the Zoom program. Rather than just going straight to the Zoom meeting, it gives them a couple of other options. Have them go through eCarms and then log into Zoom through eCarms. Convince them to stay muted until the teachers unmute them. It's just a reality. That's one of the things where we're gonna have to deal with. We'll talk about that here in a second about discipline. That's gonna be one of the biggest parts of how do we handle being in this new classroom setting with the computers. I mean, we really want to encourage our students to use their video, show their faces where they're in class. It's going to be unusual for our teachers to sit down with 25, 30 kids and not know them other than through a screen. The face at least helps us build that community. Imagine if it was the opposite. Imagine if you've got a teacher that's not showing their face and they're just showing slides or something, how difficult that would be for our students to really kind of connect with those teachers. So we really want to encourage you to have your students open up that screen, show their faces, build the community, see one another, and all of that. I think that's important for us. Again, be on time. Attendance will be taken. The schedule is actually kind of a benefit to our students. The days are a little shorter than they were before. We're definitely starting later. Our late class started at 8:20 last year, starting at 8:30, and it's not like we need to get kids to drive to school. We should have a little extra time there. 8:30 should be a decent time that people can get there. Don't distract the other kids in the class. It's just like a regular classroom. If you're trying to talk to somebody across the classroom when you're there in person, it's going to be distracting. So if our students are unmuting themselves and talking, or texting people in the chat line and talking, it gets distracting. And so we're going to try to use those same rules and regulations of don't distract the other students, give them their respect. So a question that we get quite often is, hey, they're going to be on their computer. How are we going to deal with academic honesty? The question you can spit out, they have access to infinite knowledge on the internet. We just have to work with that. It's going to be a whole new system. Everything's going to be different. The tests hopefully are going to be a little bit different. The homework assignments are going to be different. All of that has to take into account the fact of the way that we're teaching these days. Best practices. Ms. Davis already talked about a lot of these, but I want to kind of hit a couple of them again. Create that schedule. Make sure that the kids are going to bed so that they can get some sleep before they actually have to get up and get to class. I know our kids can probably, and some of them probably will, kind of roll out of bed at 8:20 and then turn on a computer and stay in bed and try to do their classes. That's not a great idea. Have them get up, have them get dressed, because the same thing, it changes your attitude if you change your clothes. Create a workspace for themselves. Here's mine for the most part. This, when I'm home and doing my stuff, I'm here outside. Everybody's inside making noise. I get to come outside and have the quiet space. This is my workspace, and everybody knows that. Have your materials there. Limit the distractions that are around. Tell them to eat. Can't tell you how many times my 14-year-old daughter comes downstairs, eats 2 Pop-Tarts at 10 o'clock in the morning, doesn't eat anything until 3, and then complains about being hungry. Well, yeah, and you're in a bad mood now. That's not eating. That's get yourself something to eat in the morning, get yourself a real lunch, make sure that they're eating, because that's going to really play a part into it. Again, it's that schedule. This is a school day. Let's kind of go through that school day. And they've got a longer lunch period than normal. And again, we're starting later than normal. Plenty of time to eat before work, before school, plenty of time to eat in that lunch period. And get them to get up and move. My worst days are when I'm in the office for 6 hours, 7 hours. Get them up, get them to move, get them to stretch, get them to do some kind of exercise. All of your kids will have a PE class. And yes, I saw the question in here. Does that mean they're doing jumping jacks in the den? Yeah, maybe. That might be the class that they have, right? Get them up and get them moving. That's what PE is supposed to be about. But get that blood flow going and get them to really change what they're doing. Sitting down for the 6 hours that they're going to be in class, that's going to be rough. Now we go back to a kind of a different concern. This was one of our big issues that we've had the last couple of years. It's weird for me to talk about this right now because I haven't seen kids on campus for 4 or 5 months. But vaping has definitely hit our community, hit our students really hard. We're asking, since they're home with you, that you guys really kind of pay attention to what's going on if you see anything like that. We can't really act on it. It's kind of up to you guys. But they come in little things. I should have had a couple in my hands, but I didn't bring them home. They're all at work. But they're little, either liquid, they're liquid most of the time, and they're either tobacco or even marijuana that they can smoke with like a second and just hit it and then done. And if you're not actively looking for it, it'd be really hard for you to know whether or not it's in your house. And so our next slide is going to show you what some of those look like. And again, some of them can be really tiny. The ones that we see the most often these days look like one of those containers for pencil lead. That's the size that it is. And that's all that it is. And so they can just throw it in their mouth, puff 2 times, and then tuck it away somewhere. And again, imagine how hard it is to find something that's the size of a pencil case. So please keep an eye out for that. That's our major concern with health and drugs right now with our kids, as we see this all the time. For additional resources on vaping, you can check out any of these things. When we do parent coffees, last year we had an entire parent coffee that had some of this material. And so maybe look down the road and see if we have another meeting on that later on.
Okay, so like Mr. Campbell just said, coffees with the principals. So this is, we're almost done with our presentation. How can parents get involved? So one thing that we do frequently is coffee with the principal. Back, pre-COVID in the before times, it was every Wednesday morning, every single Wednesday at 9 a.m. We do coffee with the principal, and we have a different topic every week. We're still working out how to make this work with distance learning, because obviously I cannot invite all of you guys to come have coffee with me in person. It's just not safe right now. As soon as it is safe to do it, I will go back to doing the weekly coffees. What we ended up doing really at the end of last year is Miss Gunter and I put together like a series of videos where she and I were talking about various issues. Both she and I are parents of teenagers. And so a lot of these copies and a lot of the topics that we talked about were typical, teenage issues that we all deal with as parents, and just hopefully giving some advice and more just kind of sharing that, we're all in this together and we totally understand how difficult teenagers can be to deal with from time to time. So as we work out the details and how we're gonna, we are gonna continue with this year. It may sometimes be videos. Some weeks we may open up a Zoom and have parents come in and join us and talk and that sort of thing. I will share all of that in my weekly emails. I think I mentioned before, once you guys sign up for School Loop, and as soon as we're done with the presentation, I'm actually going to flip over and show you the website and show you how to do that real quick. You'll get a weekly email from me that talks about various topics that we're dealing with as a school, what's coming up, and just information that you need to know. So you can expect that from me every Sunday night, starting with this Sunday. I'll send out my first one for the school year. The counselor, Ms. Pereira mentioned counselor parent presentations. The counselors do usually, again, they're in person. This year they won't be. We'll do them much like this presentation is, but where it'll be Zoom, which is actually kind of nice because then you can stay at home and you don't have to get up and go somewhere, which I know at the end of a long day that could be hard. School site council, if you are interested in being on our school site council, please email me. All of our parents on school site council graduated out. They were parents of seniors that graduated in the spring. So I actually need parents to sit on school site council. We also have the DLAC, which is a district committee. And so if you're interested in sitting on a district committee, you can do that also. So let me know if you're interested in that. If we are doing AP testing in person, last year, I don't know how much you guys are aware if you didn't have older kids, AP testing actually happened at home where kids did it on their own computer at home. And so we didn't need any proctors. Normally though, with AP testing, we always need proctors. And so a lot of parents will volunteer to be AP proctors. If we need that, we'll send out information and ask for volunteers. That doesn't happen until the spring, however. But I want to also encourage all of you to join parent boosters. And in my email this week, I'll put some information about the parent boosters and how you can sign up. But parent boosters, they are always looking for more volunteers to help out with them. We have a really great parent booster group. And so I really recommend all of you join in and join the parent boosters. All right, that's the end of our presentation. Before we hit the questions in the chat, actually what I want to do real quick, hold on, let me go to, so this is our website. It's at phhs.schoolloop.com. And when you go on our website, you will see this button right up here where it says School Loop Login. You click on that. And if you are not registered for School Loop, you're going to click on this button right here that says Register Now. And then you're going to click on Parent Registration. All you need is your child's student ID. If you came from one of our feeder schools, I'm going to stop our share now. If you came from one of our feeder schools, their student ID is exactly the same. So if you came from Sierramont or you came from Piedmont Middle, the student ID is the same one they had in middle school. If you came from outside of our feeder district and you don't know what the student ID is, go ahead and email us, and then we will, I'll let you know what the student ID is. I'll help you out. All right, so Mr. Campbell, Ms. Perry, have you guys been monitoring the questions?
Yeah, we'll go way back to the first ones. How are we doing PE, choir, band, and I'll throw other ones in there too, because we've heard these questions too. Lab sciences, wood shop. I don't know how we're doing wood shop. This is the world we live in. This is the digital world we have to deal with. Our teachers have basically known for 4 or 5 months that we're going to be doing these things digitally. I know our music teachers are actually kind of excited to try to teach a little bit differently and teach the music instead of the performance. So that's just the reality. We're just gonna have to change what we're doing. Every class is changing how they're teaching, and so that's what we're trying to prepare for right now.
And just I wanted to add on the construction front, sorry, was I know that they're looking for computer software programs and tools and apps and those types of things that they could work from home, because whatever, that's what Mr. Ellison was sharing with me. So they have big dreams and big plans. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, I just want to tag on that. We have really creative teachers that have been figuring out all summer how to make this work. For the PE, it's going to be a lot of, I actually think it's really kind of a cool opportunity for the PE teachers, because a lot of them are really passionate about personal fitness. And so that's going to be, their focus on, like, how do you keep up a personal fitness program, just you, like, on your own, like when you can't go to the gym, and like, how do you stay in shape? And so that's what they're going to be having the kids do. And so I think it's going to be I think it's a really great opportunity for teachers to think outside the box and do some things that maybe they wouldn't normally have tried, but they always thought would be kind of cool to do, and now they have this opportunity to do it.
Yeah, I want to take the PE classes.
Yeah, exactly. I saw this question that came up. I don't know, Mr. Campbell, I don't know if you actually can see it, because I think this came on before you came on, where somebody asked, I guess, I don't know, the mail has obviously been slow. So some of you maybe have received your mailer and some haven't. If you haven't received it, it should come tomorrow. It was mailed out last week. But I guess in there it talks about the grade floor. And for those of you that did not have a kid at Piedmont Hills last year, you probably are like, what is a grade floor? When school shut down last March, because that was how Eastside dealt with the situation, where we set a grade floor where the grade couldn't drop below the March 13th grade. Because we are starting the school year, this is a brand new school year, there is no grade floor because there's no grades yet. So the grades are like normal grades. So just like in normal school, how they, earn their grades and everything, it's going to be the same, like just normal grade time.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
A lot of questions about the photos. So today and tomorrow are the days that we're having freshmen come in to take photos. I think it was basically A through L-ish today. I think we had about 150 kids actually show up, take their photos. Quite a few of them, 50 to 60, I think, ended up getting a Chromebook. If you're in the M through Z, you're supposed to be scheduled for tomorrow. If you're A through L and your student didn't come today, just come tomorrow. It's fine. There definitely wasn't a crowd anywhere. We've got people monitoring how many students are close enough to anybody, and nobody's within 6 feet of anybody. Yes, the students are going to take their masks off when they take their photo. They are sufficiently far enough away from the photographer. They're sufficiently far enough away from each other that I don't think it's going to be a significant concern. Again, I was there all day. I didn't see anything that I think of as a red flag. So I think that would be fine. Again, if you are M through Z, you should have a scheduled time tomorrow, which I think is on our website. It wasn't an email that we sent out. And if you're A through L but didn't make it there today, go ahead and go tomorrow. I think ideally towards the end of the day, but again, it doesn't matter too much. I think there's enough space for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think they reserved the last hour for makeup time, so
Yeah.
I would say 2 to 3:30. But again, like Mr. Campbell said, I mean, there hasn't been a huge crowd, so if a couple kids come at a wrong time, it's fine.
Right, and again, it's been asked a couple times. The photographs are in the theater. It's kind of right in the center of the school, if you know where that is. So, and again, there are people around that should help guide you there. What about picking up textbooks, other materials, instruments, things like that? We've talked to our teachers to try to encourage them to use as much digital material as possible so that, again, we can limit how many people are on campus. There are going to be some textbooks that will be picked up. We were just talking about that today, and I think we're looking at not next week, but the week after, the week of the 17th. The teachers should inform the students if they have textbooks to pick up, and they will come in on specific days that we'll set up for them.
Yeah, we're gonna, so we're not gonna start the school year with textbooks. The teachers are gonna be doing a lot of culture building and welcoming activities for the class to get to know each other so that when they actually dive into curriculum, it works because the kids have relationships with each other and relationships with the teachers. That's actually really important to start the school year. So that's our emphasis for the first couple of class periods, certainly the first week to 2 weeks of school. So we will, the second week of school is when we're going to be doing the textbooks, and we will send out all of that information. Don't expect it until after school starts. Like right now, we're just like, let's get school started. That's our focus right now. But the end of next week, we'll send out the information for textbook pickup.
One that I don't have an answer for, is there going to be an audition for orchestra?
No. So orchestra, there is an assumption that if your child signed up for orchestra that they do play a musical instrument. If they are in orchestra and they do not play a musical instrument, you probably need to email Ms. Pereira right away, and we'll figure something else out, because that's not going to be a good fit, because the orchestra is not to teach you how to play a musical instrument. Now, our piano class and our guitar classes are actually geared towards teaching the students how to play guitar and how to play piano. So in those two classes, they don't actually have to have any prior knowledge. Orchestra, however, in like the band type classes, you do actually need to already know how to play an instrument. One thing, you know, where we were talking about textbooks, there was also the question about instruments. Mr. Ellis and Ms. Wang, who is our new music teacher, they are going to take care of that. They have to, because I talked to Mr. Ellis about it, they need to have the first couple of class periods first, because they need to know which students already have a musical instrument at home and which do not. And so that way they can know like which students do they have to get instruments to. And so they will coordinate that with their classes.
Okay. Can we explain tutorial a little bit better?
Yeah, so this is a new thing for all of us. And so it's going to be new for the teachers too. And so a lot of this is like, well, let's see how it goes. But basically, you know, if a kid, teachers will be available during that time. So if your child needs, like in their math class, like they're like, I don't get this lesson, I need some extra time, they email the teachers and say, can we set up Zoom so that, you know, during the tutorial time and I can go over it again. Or it may be directed from the teacher, where the teacher is saying, hey, you're not getting this, or I don't really feel like it seemed like you didn't really get this, or you didn't really do well on your last quiz or test, and so let's go over this again. So it may be, spearheaded by the teacher, where the teacher is saying, we need to meet during the tutorial time and get, a little extra help in there. So it can go both ways, where the kid can ask for it or the teacher can ask for it. It's not structured, meaning they have to be with this teacher at this time. If they are doing well in all of their classes and they don't need any extra help, especially in those first couple weeks of school, when we're not really getting into the curriculum yet, that's not class time. They don't have to be engaging in school during that time. But when we really get going, that's the time to get the extra help. Normally during the school year, we have the homework center and things like that after school. Obviously, we don't have that right now. And so this is our way of making sure that, there's still time for kids to get additional support if they need it.
I want to hit a big one because I know our time's getting kind of short here. When will we be back on campus? So we're following the mandates of the state and the county. We are considered at the tier 1 level of the epidemic right now, which that means basically almost nobody is allowed on campus. We do not have any classes that will be happening on campus. We're not asking our staff for the most part to come on campus. That's just where we are right now. When we get to stage 2 is when we can bring limited groups of students on campus. And we'll talk about what that means when we get closer to that. But when we're pretty far away from that to begin with. And even when we go to tier 2, we have 14 days before we can actually do anything new with it. Right now, the agreement that we have at our district is that we're hoping to have students on campus in January. And that's what we're kind of looking at right now. Moving this whole semester forward digitally, doing everything that we can to make that be a success for everybody. And then as things shift and change, then we'll shift and change with it to the best that we can, and keeping everybody as safe as we can.
Yeah, I mean, it really, those are questions that I don't have answers to. Nobody does. Right now, I appreciate all of you guys joining us tonight and being here tonight. Right now, my husband is on a similar meeting for our child's middle school, because I'm here with you guys, and so I couldn't do the parent Zoom that was for our child's middle school. But I'm imagining that the parents in there have the same questions that you guys do. It really, I don't know, and if you guys are watching the news reports of schools in other states that opened up this week and they're already shutting down, it doesn't look good. I think a lot is really dependent. This is just me, giving you my opinion. A lot depends on a vaccine coming and being developed and being available. Our district is very, very cautious. Eastside is very cautious, and so they are not going to bring students back on campus and have students back on campus until they feel it is safe to do so, and we're doing it in the safest way possible. I'm seeing a lot of questions about problems with signing on to EC Arms. From what I've been seeing, and when parents have been emailing me, the problem usually is that you're not putting in the right email address for the student. And again, it's the last name, first name, and then the last 4 digits of the student's ID, and then at thestudents.esuhsd.org. Email me, or Ms. Pereira, or Mr. Campbell, or Mr. Rosales. Any of us can help you if you're continuing to have problems. I also saw a question, do parents have to sign up for EC Arms? Parents don't do anything yet. There is going to be a way for parents to have their own ARMS account. They tried to roll something out last year. It was very, very clunky. It was super glitchy. If you guys were existing parents last year, you saw it, like I sent an email like, hey, parents, sign up for this. And then all the parents tried to, and then none of them worked. And it was like a whole mess. And so the district's redesigning how to do that. And so it's not quite ready yet. As soon as I have the instructions for parents to get their own EC ARMS account, I will share that out with all of you so that you can have your own account. I'm looking to see, I think are there any questions that we've missed? I think we've covered a lot of this. Where can students get descriptions for the clubs? If you look on our website and then click on ASB, ASB has their own website. It's linked on our website, but they have a lot of information on there, and information about clubs is going to be on there. And then also on, I believe it's on September 2nd. Yes, September 2nd. We're going to do a virtual mini club day. Normally, you know, in the first couple weeks of school, we do a mini club day at lunch where all the clubs advertise themselves and the kids get to go around and see, you know, what clubs are out there. So the clubs are actually putting stuff together to do that virtually. It's going to be on September 2nd so that all of our incoming freshmen can see what clubs are out there and see which ones they want to join. And again, as we get closer to that, we'll advertise that and all the students will know exactly how to access that information. Trying out for football and like just for sports right now, right now we're actually not even allowed to be doing conditioning because they tightened up. We were doing summer conditioning, you know, safely apart from each other, but then the county tightened everything, and so we had to shut that down. When we are allowed to do that, we will publish that. The coaches and athletic directors, most of that stuff is published on School Loop, where they'll do a School Loop announcement about when that is and what they need to do. So again, emphasizing, you know, it's really important to get that School Loop account because that's where they'll get all of that information. I saw a question about college entrance requirements for the UC system. For I am not an expert on that. The people who are experts on that are counselors, and so when the counselors do their counseling presentations, that's when you're going to get all of that information. Ms. Purr, do you want to add anything to that?
I mean, I didn't see the question in the chat, but I just want to make sure that they know that the A to G requirements are for both CSU and UC. So is that what that question was asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's for both. They overlap as well.
Yeah, so I had promised you guys that we would end at 7. We obviously went a little bit over. I'm going to go ahead. Hold on, let me change this to everyone. I'm putting my email address in the chat for everyone. Hopefully you guys have my email address. I type it correctly. Wow. So go ahead and email me. You guys can email me through School Loop. It's easier, and School Loop is great. I use School Loop a lot. Sometimes School Loop email, it gets kind of lost. And there's definitely sometimes a delay where I've noticed that if I'm logged into School Loop, I see the email, but it doesn't show up in my actual email inbox in my eSide email until like an hour later. So I'm quicker with email. So go ahead and email me. Just so you guys know, as your principal and contacting me. I am much better about email than I am about voicemail and my phone, especially with distance learning, because, you know, as administrators, we are actually working from home several days a week. And so I'm not always at school. And so not always getting my voicemail, but I do get my email. So you guys have my email address, just save it. And so if you need anything, then you can go ahead and email me, okay? So I'm gonna let you guys go. And thank you so much. I am going to, tomorrow morning, I'm gonna send out the video of this presentation, you know, because I have been recording it. And then I will also send out the actual presentation itself. So, you know, with all of those links and everything like that, so that you can have access to all of it. Okay.
Ms. Davis, you might want to include the ASB video too, because I thought that was great for families to see as well.
Oh, yeah. I will do that. So the ASB for the freshman orientation, I don't know if you guys were around with the freshman orientation, but the ASB kids, they put together a really great video for the freshmen. So I will include that because that actually was really cute and really well done. Okay, well, thank you guys so much. And have a wonderful rest of your evening. And welcome to Piedmont Hills. Yay.
Thank you.
Go Pirates.
Thank
Yes, go
you.
Pirates.
Bye-bye.
Go Paritos.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You done with your coffee? Last slurp. Give me a napkin.
You keep pointing down there.
There's something down there.
I don't want it. Oh. You don't want it, okay.